Are you ready, Monarchs fans? It's time for the Old Dominion Football Show with Bruce Rader and Coach Bobby Wilder.
Riding high on a 3-game win streak and rested up after a bye week, the Old Dominion football team knew they would have their hands full against the defending Conference USA champions Western Kentucky, and boy did they. But as Coach Wilder mentioned, the sun came up on Sunday morning, and now it's time to start a new win streak as the Monarchs head down to Texas. Has the team cleared its minds? Are they ready to put the Hilltoppers game behind them? Let's find out. The Old Dominion Football Show starts now. I'm Bruce Rader along with Coach Bobby Wilder, and because of Game 3 of the World Series tomorrow night here on Fox 43, we come to you with a special Thursday night edition of the show this week. Coach, you were obviously not expecting a 35-point loss last week. What happened?
Well, number one, really good football team, and Western Kentucky's played Alabama, the number one team in the nation, closer than 3 other teams. They lost to Alabama by 28. Tennessee lost to them by 49. So this is a good football team. We did not start the game, Bruce, the way we needed to. We got behind. We couldn't get first downs. We were down 21-0 before anybody blinked, and we were beaten badly. And as I explained to the kids, when you get taken out behind the woodshed like that, you got to regroup. You got to understand. I made them stand up in the team meeting Sunday, Bruce. I made them stand up, repeat after me. We are a good football team. I said, look, we're sitting at 4-3. We're 2-1 in the league. We're tied for first in the league with losses, and we had to flush that thing out. But the one thing I was pleased with, Bruce, as badly as we got beaten in the first half of this game, when all the starters were still in, we outscored them 10-0 in the third quarter. We at least came back and played a solid second half.
2 things to touch on before we look ahead to Saturday's game against UTEP. First, the injury suffered by your defensive end, Daniel Apu. Boy, that looked scary.
It was, Bruce. Probably the scariest thing I've been involved with in 30 years of coaching, because I was with Daniel on the field for about 10 minutes when he was there, holding his hand, and when you're looking into your player's eye, and he's got tears in his eyes because he's scared. Great job by the medical staff, Bruce, of mobilizing his head, getting his face mask off. We were really fortunate, Bruce, to learn about an hour after the game that he had been cleared from the hospital, came home with us on the flight. What happened, Bruce, was he was rushing. He had a long arm technique going, and he slipped and fell, and when he did, he hit his head on the back of an offensive lineman. So he's still got a little bit of numbness in his left forearm, a little bit of tingling in his fingers. All the other extremities, everything else is fine. He's going to recover. It's just going to be a process.
And the skirmish there in the third quarter, very uncharacteristic for an Old Dominion team.
Yeah, it was, Bruce, and it was really unfortunate. There was a play that happened a couple series before where Denzel Williams, there was a personal foul on their team. Denzel hurt his knee on the play, and then on that particular play, Bruce, the ball was coming out, went out of bounds. Their guy blocked our guy about 8 yards out of bounds. It was about to be settled, Bruce, and then their running back, Anthony Wales, came in and hit Christian Byron pretty hard, and then it got out of control. And fortunately, everything got broken up. It took about 30 seconds. Both teams played the last 22 minutes clean. We shook hands after the game. I talked to Jeff Brom a number of times Sunday and Monday, their head coach. He and I are good friends. We both feel that it was really unfortunate. We both have to do a better job, both teams. You got to stay on the sideline, even when you get a little upset. But let's understand, this is college football. It gets physical.
All right, coming up tomorrow, you got to take another long road trip, this time all the way down to Texas, El Paso. I would say an evenly matched game, but how do you get your players to clear their minds after that game against Western Kentucky?
Well, this is a great thing, Bruce. This is what I love about young people. If you give young people the proper guidance, if you give them that positive mental attitude and energy, they'll turn setbacks into comebacks. And over the course of the last 2 years, as we're going through these growing pains of becoming an FBS program and playing some of these teams, we've had some really difficult losses. You think back to last year, 6 of our 7 losses, Bruce, were 20 points or more, and we always bounce back. And I reminded the kids, Bruce, after Appalachian State and NC State, 2 games we got beaten badly, we ripped off 3 straight. So we'll bounce back and we'll have a great attitude.
UTEP loses 5 games in a row, that beats Texas El Paso in 5 overtimes. Obviously, they aren't ready to give up on their season.
No, and they did that coming off a bye, Bruce. And Sean Kugler, who's a very good friend of mine, I have a lot of respect for, their head coach. That 5-game losing streak, Bruce, they scored a total of 56 points in 5 games. Then they come back after the bye. They say this is a new season. They score 52 points in one game. In the game you mentioned, Bruce, they're down by 14 in the first quarter. They're down by 14 going into the fourth quarter. They're down by 8 in the third overtime, and they come back and win. That shows a lot of toughness. This game will be a challenge.
Any key players banged up after last Saturday's game?
Yeah, we've got a few guys. That was such a physical game with Western Kentucky. And we played physical. I was proud of our kids. We didn't execute, obviously, based on the score, but we played physical. So we got some guys that are banged up, Bruce. And as I reminded them, 129 teams all over the country right now are banged up. We're all 12 weeks in. We're all 7 weeks into our season. They've been doing a good job with the training room, getting their rehab. We'll be good to go Saturday.
But any key players, David Washington, the quarterback, any of your top wide receivers, top defenders that you're concerned about?
David's good. All the wideouts are good. Justice Davila has an issue with his shoulder. Darius Garcia, he's got a little bit of an issue with his back. So those guys will be game time decisions going into it. But for the most part, we're as healthy as you can be at this time in the year.
Well, good for you. Okay, I'm not the only one with the questions
I've got a bit of a cold.
Here.
I've got a little bit of a cold.
Well, okay, that's
Yeah.
okay. That's fine. You're not going to be playing.
I'm ready.
You look
Okay.
ready.
Yeah.
Still to come, we're going to open things up to you, fans. You can ask the coach anything you want
Anything at all.
on the Coach's Corner. And Derek Wilder, that name sounds familiar.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Dares to enter the 1-minute drill with Brian Parsons. Good
He
looking
looks
guy.
familiar. He looks familiar, Bruce.
He looks like glad he takes after his mother. The Old
Yes.
Dominion Football Show
Thank you.
continues.
All right, welcome back to the Old Dominion Football Show, the 1-minute drill, and look who we have here, the son of Bobby Wilder, Derek Wilder. Well, welcome to the drill. You've gotten a little bigger since the last time I saw you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Put on a few pounds, sir.
So what's it like playing for your father?
I mean, it's a little more pressure. You know, you don't want to mess up for your teammates, but you know, you don't want to mess up for Dad either.
I mean, you've been around this program as long as anybody. I mean, you were out there running on the field picking up the tee, right, when you were a kid. So I mean, you're very close to this program.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, it's an honor being able to play for the Monarchs.
What does Derek Wilder like to do on a day off? What did you like to kind of get away from football?
I mean, I like to sleep in a little bit. I have a dog, so I take him to the beach every now and then. Play a little Xbox. You know, I love the Xbox.
Is your dog related to Charles the Monarch?
No, he's not. I wanted to get one of those, but you know, my dad has one, so I had to branch off a little bit and get something else.
Oh, so Coach has one of Charles's offspring.
Yeah, so when I go home, I get to see him.
Keep your dog on the leash, please. Unlike Charles, they're running loose all over Norfolk. It's crazy. Favorite thing about being a part of the Monarch organization?
Running out of the tunnel. It's pretty awesome. You know, the band out there, all the fans yelling. We don't have the cannon anymore, but you know, it's nothing like it.
All right, Derek Wilder, you have survived the 1-minute drill. Say goodbye to the Monarch Nation.
See you, Monarch Nation. See you on Saturday.
All right, you're not the first coach to have his son on your team, but a first for you. How do you guys handle it?
Oh, it's really special. I see him more now, Bruce, than I did first 18 years of his life because traveling a lot and recruiting, and Derek was busy with his stuff. I get to see him every day. You know, I got to see him this morning at practice. We have the coach-player relationship, and we have the father-son, and I'll give Derek all the credit for how he handles it. He does an excellent job with it, and as his teammates say, he's just one of the guys.
All right. When we return, the weekly Coach's Corner segment. You nervous?
Oh, I love it. It's my favorite. Keep the questions coming.
All right, that's next. Time for the Coach's Corner. You can send your questions to bruce.rader@wavy.com. Jose in Norfolk asked Coach, just out of curiosity, have you ever had a concussion from playing football? And if so, what was the protocol back then? Because you were a quarterback at Maine. I assume you got sacked once or twice.
Oh, boy. Yeah, sure did. That's a really good question, Bruce. 30 years ago, it was primarily, the trainer would check you on the sideline, but you might get the smelling salt, you might get the quick wake up and then go. And then obviously there was protocol during the week. You'd have to get cleared by the doctor, but nothing like the extensive tests that the kids go through now. Like anything, Bruce, everything's improved.
Safety first. Antoine in Chesapeake wants to know, I've heard you be a proponent for an early signing period in college football. What's the advantage, and is it close to actually being implemented?
Yeah, Antoine, it is. We're actually going to vote on it this coming January at our national coaches convention. All 129 FBS head coaches will vote. What I foresee happening, Bruce, is we're going to start next December with the early signing period. It'll be same time junior college players are allowed to sign, that second, third week in December. And it helps. It's better for the kids. If they've made their decision in June, Bruce, and they've known for 5 months, now they can get it over with in December. They don't have to. They can still wait until February. But from a college standpoint, it helps you know who you have. It saves money. That month of January, you're chasing kids around. Quite frankly, I think it saves the kid and the parents a whole lot of trouble.
All right, Old Dominion against Texas El Paso Saturday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Have a great weekend, everybody.